We don't need that anymore because we have this. Hello and welcome back to Mayday, your favorite live show about baseball and other stuff. Mostly sports, sometimes video games, but mostly sports. How's everybody doing? Good to see you. It's great to be back here on this beautiful Monday, first Monday in February. Congratulations, you made it through the 12-month long month. So we all did this. We did it together, and you should be proud of yourselves. Hope you guys are all having a great, wonderful day. Ooh, Will, thoughts on the Luka trade? Give me a minute, brother. We are going to get to it. We're going to mention it. We're going to go real deep dive on in at some point. So just be patient for me. Thank you so much. But yeah, I know that's the hottest topic. So, I mean, there might be just an opportunity just to... Nope. There might be an opportunity to simply hot route this thing. I know this is going to be what we talk about a lot, so let's go right into it. Anyone who isn't on the internet, which is you are there right now, probably wouldn't have seen this, but a couple days ago, the Dallas Mavericks of the National Basketball Association traded 25-year-old, arguably top 5 player in the league, phenom, Luka Dončić, and a couple other guys, one of which has a silly name that I can't remember, over to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, a couple other slapsticks, and a 2029 first-round overall pick. Now, Anthony Davis is a good player. He's a solid player. He's 32 years old. He's notorious for being made of glass, a.k.a. getting hurt a lot. But Luka Dončić is a franchise player. So anyone who doesn't follow the NBA very closely needs to know a couple things. And I am actually a pretty big basketball fan. I played basketball through high school. I love basketball. My dad's a huge basketball guy. So he's who keeps me up on these things. But baseball and basketball, different ways we kind of think about long-term contracts and building your teams. I've talked a lot about how baseball isn't one of those sports where you can build your whole team around a player. Like in football, you can build your whole team around your quarterback, a.k.a. the Patriots with Tom Brady. Or basketball, you can get your star, your guy that can take over a game and score every single point for your team, and then you build around him. Luka Dončić. He is one of those type of players, and he was traded for not that type of player at 25 years old. So this is crazy on 1,000 levels. This is unheard of. You would never do anything like this in any sport. It's the equivalent. There's a bunch of equivalents. We're going to talk about the equivalents in baseball in a moment. There aren't a lot. It's hard to kind of do straight up trades. But the economics of trading away a guy who's going to be the center point of your team, like it's basically like you get him, you slot him in. Not every team has this guy. You slot him in, and then you build the rest of your team, and he's your untouchable. Luka Dončić was supposed to be that. And then suddenly he wasn't. And it was done a little bit under the table very quickly. And he wasn't shopped around, which is really fishy in my opinion. Sounds like someone didn't want to have their job anymore and they're trying to get themselves fired and ruin the organization on their way out. That's my only explanation. So absolutely a crazy trade. It's like trading... Like, that's the equivalent of trading, I would say, like, going straight up Julio Rodriguez for, like, Nick Castellanos or something, right? Like, yeah, Castellanos is a solid player. He's on teams that are good. But Julio Rodriguez has all this control. He's 24 years old, and he has all of this stuff ahead of him. All this time ahead. He's the type of player you want to build your organization around, right? Julio Rodriguez, straight up. For Nick Castellanos, that is my comp. A lot of people were throwing out like, what if it was like Juan Soto for Freddie Freeman? That was the biggest comp. I don't think that is a great comp because of the way money works. Juan Soto's making a shit ton of money. So, like, that could be a salary dump. Salary dump could be part of Juan Soto going. But what you need to do is find somebody who isn't being paid that much money and is really young. And then you trade them for someone who is making money, who isn't as good, who is way older. Isn't that nuts? So now we have Luka James. I don't know if you guys know who this guy is. This is LeBron James. He's the greatest player of all time, in my opinion. And also, he is, by the way, the whole MJ Kobe thing, LeBron James has aged better than both those guys. So I just want to throw that out there. But the Lakers basically just got the next guy to take over, which is just outrageous. It's almost like collusion. I have no idea what anyone is thinking. I can't imagine what Mavs fans are feeling. And you know what? We got to point out one last thing about this, too. The Dallas Mavericks crossover fandom, right? It's with the Cowboys. So now I got to deal with both of these things. You know what I mean? Imagine. Where are my Dallas fans at? Anyone in my chat right now from Dallas? Do you need me to buy you a punching bag and send it to your house? Because I can do that. Pat Hoberg just got fired. Wait, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. It's hard to compare different time frames in any sport. I agree. I agree with that, King. We're not going to get into who the greatest player of all time is, but I just think that top to bottom, all the way around, different phases of their life. Like, I think MJ is a takeover, clutch, the most clutch player of all time. I think Kobe Bryant was probably the best pure scorer of all time. You need someone to hit a shot, give it to him, right? And then I think LeBron's just the best overall, all facets of the game. Very few weaknesses, right? So that's where I'm coming with there. And then, recency bias. Obviously, I'm older though. I grew up with Jordan, right? And I grew up with Kobe. So, but that's the way I think about it. Anyway, this is nuts. Can you imagine? I actually posed these two for you. Here's two trades that give this same vibe that would make no sense one way. What if the Phillies traded Julio Rodriguez and Luis Castillo for Bryce Harper and Brandon Marsh? What if it was straight up Luis Castillo for Austin Riley? That's actually more of a fair trade, in my opinion. Still not that close, but closer. It's like you go get a young dude for an old dude, frankly, and you just would never do that in baseball because it makes no sense. Also, I feel really bad for Luka because he was going to be able to sign a supermax contract after this year with the Mavs, and now he's going to be limited to $100 million less in earning potential with the Lakers. That sucks for him, but he's going over to a storied franchise, so it's not all bad. It doesn't seem like he was the happiest there. I know there's been lots of rumblings of this stuff, so. You're undervaluing Luka, man. No, I know. I'm talking these ones. Exactly. There's really that's my point. Is it's so crazy because there isn't anything comparative, right? There's nothing comparative. It's insane. It is insane. You cannot compare these things. Who's the Anthony Davis of baseball? I still think. Okay, hold on. How about this? Bobby Witt Jr. straight up for Nick Castellanos. I like Castellanos, or like Bobby Witt Jr. straight up for Kyle Schwarber. Right? Schwarber does a couple things really well, but Bobby Witt Jr. does everything really well, and he's way younger. That kind of thing. But for some reason, they didn't think I don't know. Outside of Luka, punching the GM in the face, I don't know why you would do this. Not as good as AD? Okay, I don't know, guys. You throw it out there then, all-knowing basketball fans. God. Golly. All right, we're back. We're in Mayday. It's good to see you guys. That was our first story of the day. And I think it is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. What are we doing? It makes no sense. But the next few, I mean, I guess the rest of the season will tell us. Maybe more details to come out. Maybe there's some stuff behind the scenes. I can't stop imagining Jason Kidd's face when they were announcing it up next to each other. So let's keep going. Another really fun thing that we actually, it broke during last week's show, but we're going to talk about it a little more today. MLB The Show 25 has announced its cover athletes. At first, we thought it was just Elly De La Cruz. It isn't. It's Paul Skeens, Elly De La Cruz, and Gunnar Henderson, the new crop of superstars. I think this is a really great idea. Also, kind of how the colors kind of play out there, I think looks pretty fresh. I like that a lot. But one thing I would love to do here on our show, and we'll keep track of it in Discord, is there an MLB, is there like a yearly video game about the sport, kind of like Madden? Is there a curse attached with this? So we're going to keep track of how these three guys are doing and comparatively to last year and see if there's any truth to that. But I do like this decision. I think these are the three guys that are putting butts in seats. I think that this was a great idea, all, top to bottom. And, you know, I feel like Jazz walked so these guys could run. We were trying to go with the younger, more flashy, group. It didn't work out for him. It definitely was a curse on that side. But this one, I think this is good. I'm a big fan of this. Ooh, Branch, that's a great question. Let's answer that one real quick. Who do you think is going to have the highest B WAR? Now that's Baseball Reference WAR. I actually do not know how these things balance. So it's hard for me to give you specifically why B WAR is what it would be. However, I think the guy who puts up the most WAR for these three guys will be... Ooh, I think it's going to be Gunnar by just an inch. This is hard. That's really hard because I don't know how stolen bases are weighted either. But I would say Gunnar just because of the premium position, though Elly plays the same position, but Elly's not great defensively. I know Gunnar wasn't great defensively at the end of the year either, but Elly's never shown any very good defensively. He's got a great arm, but he is throwing the thing up halfway up the net, one of every three throws. So, and then, Skeens, it will be Skeens if he makes 32 starts. But again, WAR works a little bit differently for starting pitchers. So we'll see. I think Gunnar Henderson edges him out. I think they all three go high, or they don't, or they all get cursed. We could get cursed, but I love this. I think these three guys deserve it. And had it been my choice, I would have chosen these three fellers. Also, I would have chosen those three guys. All right, I love that. I love this for us. MLB The Show 25. I shall be playing you because I always do, even though I'm not in the game anymore. Sad. All right. Before we get in the news, remember, guys, Cutting the Diamond, brand new podcast from your boy on the MCA Podcast Network, where I sit down one-on-one with players, ex-players, just tell stories. It's a blast. The recent episode with Kyle Gibson is now available. A brand new one comes out every single Wednesday. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, please go do that. Go subscribe so you don't miss any in the future. And I also have in the works plans for little mini versions of that we're going to be doing live on this show. So it's subscribe to it and you'll just be fine. You'll be good. You'll be set. You'll be set. Next episode is this Wednesday, Alex Vesia. And other guests I have in the works currently right now. I'm going to talk to Tyler Glasnow, Daniel Bard, Trevor Williams, Rich Hill, and Sergio Romo. If Serge is here, he has agreed to come on too. So those are the next 5. So you should go check those out. And if you guys want me to do other people, you got to let me know in the comments on Spotify. Because there's comments on Spotify now. Also, Mayday, this companion podcast for this show. So if you ever missed this show, guys, or you're not able to catch the live version or watch the VOD later, we will have like the juiciest tidbits of this show put out in the audio format. Mayday, the companion pod. You can check that out basically all week. So sub to that one as well. And it's great. If you're going to work, little 15 to 20, 25-minute little tidbits. You get your news, you can talk about that stuff. It's a good time. So I appreciate that as well. Thank you so much. All right, not back. We're just going straight in. We're getting into the news. By the way, the Rich Hill one is great. We're getting into the news. Let's go. Let's get it. Oh my God, Jack Flaherty finally signed. And guess who he signed with? Jack Flaherty signs a 2-year, $35 million contract back with the Detroit Tigers, which I called. This is the first time, I think. The first time there we go. This is the first time that one of my predictions happened, like straight up. Straight up. I thought he was going to end up with them the whole time. I thought that having experience there. The thing with Detroit, and I will say this from my own experience and a lot of people I talked to, like, you got to kind of figure out the vibe there. It's hard to tell as a visiting player how much the guys that are there like it. If that makes sense. Because I've been there when it was been empty, and I've been there when it's been full. And you know, it's a tale of two kind of atmospheres. So having some experience already on the team, I think, goes a long way for getting you to re-sign with the team. But this is one of those little sweetheart deals or those pillow deals, as they're called. I believe that's the terminology we're using now, where there's an opt-out after the first year, so you can go back, throw well, and then go try free agency market again. You know, obviously there were three big guys, Fried, Corbin Burns, and Blake Snell, right? And then he was kind of in the tier 2, maybe tier 2B group, which he threw really well in the playoffs, won a World Series, and I think he was holding off to maybe go back to play for the Dodgers. That's probably what he was trying to do. I get it, but also, guys, we got to give him a little bit of credit, or give him a little bit of grace here. He is from California, and you know, playing close to home is something I can identify with for sure. So, but the deal, which pending a physical, includes an opt-out after this year, which Detroit will pay Flaherty $25 million. Second year guarantees Flaherty $10 million. It could be worth $20 million if he starts at least 15 games. Oh, so it's front loaded as well. So he's going to get $25 million, and then the back end, basically, it's an insurance policy against sucking, having a really bad year. So I like that. He's still only 29 years old. Another one, smart, because then he has an opt-out at 30, and then he has the contract end at 31. So that's another round of free agency, which is also really smart. So I love that. I love that for the Detroit Tigers, who I have being right there for the division then this year. So Jack Flaherty, nice little pickup, nice little pillow deal where he's going to get his value, maybe not for as many years as he wanted to, but all things go well, he can just do it again next year. With the signing of Jack Flaherty, Tigers are still in play for Alex Bregman. We have not heard much movement there in the Alex Bregman sweepstakes, along with Pete Alonso. It's interesting because I feel like their options are getting very, very narrow and limited. It's an interesting situation we have with two corner pop guys, because here in the Lord's year 2025, we haven't seen as much, going for the three outcome, right? Like usually juice has been paid. Guys have been trying to hit the ball hard and try to develop swings that do that, because that gets you paid. Like that's what translates. That's how you get WAR. That's how you create a lot of scoring, and that's how you help your team win. And you need those on the corners. Everybody needs them. And there's so many teams that need this, but we're in a weird situation where there is some teams that'll pay, and then the rest of the teams are just chronically risk adverse, right? Those I feel like we have these bottom 6 or 7 teams that just aren't going to spend money. Pittsburgh, the Athletics, even though they did the thing this year, that's not going to be every year. They don't do that every year. They do that once every 5 years. So we're not going to count them. Honestly, the Orioles are stingy. Guardians, generally Kansas City, pretty much every team in both the Brewers, the part, like all these teams like don't have a ton of money and they're just kind of like hanging out. Or on the low side. And then the middle are all risk adverse. They could take some chances, but they're choosing not to, probably for business reasons. And they'll just quote, it's a business at the end of the day, just like always. The Marlins, yes. So there's these 3 kind of buckets of teams, and these middle teams, like from number 8 biggest market to like number 22 biggest market, are all just bitching about the Dodgers. Because they don't want to have to do anything. They don't want to be forced to do anything. That's why we've seen like 5 different GMs say some out-of-pocket dumb crap lately. Like Hal Steinbrenner goes, guys, we can't do what they do. We can't do what they do. And I just imagine him always doing this. I don't know why. I just imagine it. Like we can't do what they do, even though we are the most valuable franchise in the major leagues. Like it just falls on, it just doesn't make any sense. So with all that happening, Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso left out in the dust, even though they're both very good players that would make any team they're on better. So, if he lands with the Tigers, that's a huge get for them. I think that also closes up a little gap. They don't know what's going on with their first and third situation, right? We got Colt Keith. Is Spencer Torkelson going? Is Spencer Torkelson staying? We don't know. So with him at third base, though, they would be able to figure that out a little bit. And honestly, we can say what we want about Javi Baez and hitting. The guy can still pick it. So defensively, it's a pretty good defensive team at that point. If they have those 2 on the left side, pretty good infield. So missed the first part. Do we blame Boris? Scott Boris. Here's the thing. Scott Boris, who did he represent this year? Juan Soto, Bregman, Alonso. I believe Snell. He still has Snell, and then he ended up getting Snell's money, so he made a resurgence. Like he represented everybody, right? And you can't blame Scott Boras because he got some of the big ones and they worked. So like, yes, is the holding out and the waiting his fault? Yes, because that is his MO. He's like, let's put pressure on by holding out. Unfortunately, we're now at the point where these risk adverse teams would rather just hold out forever, and they're not going to come around. So these guys, they're proving that they're going to do that, and these 2 guys are probably going to get deals that aren't they deserve better, probably for the most part. Flaherty also waited for a long time, but I think Flaherty's more related to the team that he wanted to be on. But like again, Scott Boras, so the answer is a little bit yes. A lot of this waiting and missing opportunities is Scott Boras' fault, but it's more of his philosophy. He doesn't make things up or do like he's really predictable. You like know how he's going to approach things, right? You know how he's going to approach things. And so if he's negotiating with several different players for one team, those negotiations could look wildly different because the team's changing what they need as they sign guys, not the players. So Scott's going to be like, no, I need this quality of contract for everyone I represent. But if you're going to get 3 guys on the same team, usually that team can't do that for 3 guys. And that's what we're seeing with the Mets and Steve Cohen not being happy with that negotiation. That's what's going on. So it makes sense. But I hate it because it's hurting those players and their ability to get their value. But there's only so many dollars. I can rail and say billionaires have infinite money. It's not infinite. Okay. There is a limit to spending. There is a limit to, I think, what you can expect. I just ask for 50% of all profits to be spent on the team, on the players. That's your 50% of your revenue should go to players as your biggest expense because it directly correlates with your they make your money, so they should be your biggest one, and it should be around 50%. I'm not asking for more. And the way this thing fluctuates, we talked about this a lot, is like from 45 to 55%, right? And I think 50% is the fairest spot, and we're just all trying to move the needle back towards there. But what do people who own businesses and want to constantly grow those businesses do? They want their expenses to go down and to keep more so they can grow their business, or in a lot of ways, keep it and do whatever they want with it. So I think Pete's going to end up signing with the Mets. I think it's going to be like a 1 or 2 year deal. I think it's going to be a pillow deal as well. I think this guy's going to sign a pillow deal also. Big announcement out of Dodgers camp. Oh yeah, another thing. Shohei Ohtani on track despite a complicated shoulder injury. If you remember in the World Series, he tore a ligament, I believe it was the front of his labrum. So the front side here on his non-throwing arm, his left arm, which is his back arm in his swing, which is extension arm. So this is the issue that he's probably going to have more than anything. In addition to having Tommy John earlier in that year, or I believe that previous offseason. So it has slowed. He is on track to get back to pitching, even though this was cleaned up in just 5 days after the World Series ended, which was 3.5, 4 months ago. So he's still pretty. That's not, that's 4 months, maybe 4 months ago, 3 months ago. That's not a long time ago, and labrums are not a joke. So I'm going to be interested in to see what he has going, but not on the mound. I think he's going to be fine on the mound. I think that this is something that he's just going to get used to. What I'm interested to see is how hard he can swing. So pay attention to Shohei Ohtani and how tentative he is with the swings early in the spring training. I believe he's just going to try to run it like normal, probably rest a little bit more at the beginning. But of course, they have a shorter spring training. They win the World Series, and then they have to go to Japan on March 18th, which I know that all the Dodgers players are like, we got all the guys. We got Roki, we got Shohei, we got Yamamoto, but they're like, now we got to go to Asia every year. Which for me, I'd be like, this is great once. I don't want to keep doing this. I'm tired. You guys know how I feel about travel. It sucks. It sucks and I hate it. So I feel for you guys having to do that stuff. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch him come back. And I wouldn't be remotely surprised if he were ready to go and there was no problems at all, because he's a freak. The guy's a freak. He's the fastest kid alive. He's the fastest kid alive. Big rigs. This is a question we get fairly regularly, but I'm going to hit it again. MLB has to do something with these big deferred contracts at some point, right? Going to eventually have teams superstars like a $35 million payroll. I mean, I don't think. Again, let me just really quickly reiterate. I know I hit this a lot, but I'm going to hit it again. Deferring a contract doesn't make it. It's not the superpower everyone thinks it is. Putting a bunch of money on your books down into the future, like kicking the can down the road, is not beneficial for building value and running a business, right? It's good from time to time, and they just had enough opportunities to happen where they could capitalize on it with deferments. But even the Dodgers don't want to have $1 billion in deferments at all times. They're going to eventually want this stuff to start getting paid out and coming off the books, because it's just expenses that is hurting the value of their organization. Having that much debt is not good long term. And that's why a lot of teams don't do it. And that's why a lot of players don't do it either, because the money's worth less in the future. The money's just worth less in the future. Inflation. I don't know if you heard that term recently. So that's why deferments have always been available, but people don't do them as much because they're not that great. You would like to get paid up front. It just wasn't an option. What I will say though is there will be limits on it, because it's being wielded like a club and one team is doing it. So it's going to be balanced out. But again, it's going to be done in the negotiations for the collective bargaining agreement, CBA, in 2027. There will be things on the table that address or are meant to address the deferment issue. But back to Ohtani really quickly before we move on. Very happy that Shohei is feeling good. He's ready to go. And if he comes back and swinging hard after 4 months after a labrum surgery, there's nothing else to say. I will never ever be surprised by anything he does ever again. So You could end up with the Bobby Bonilla problem. I don't know why Bobby Bonilla is a problem at this point. Like, why is $1 million a year to Bobby Bonilla a problem at this point? All right, moving on. Maximilian Vivian Scherzer. I don't know. His middle name's not Vivian. I just love saying that. Max Scherzer signs with a new team that he's never played with before, the Toronto Blue Jays. 1 year, $15.5 million. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, there's a good reason for that. That's $500,000 more than the other three old men in his direct market. Now we had the three. I call this the old dude free agency. Old dude free agency. We got Alex Cobb, Charlie Morton, Justin Verlander, and Max Scherzer. 1 for 15 to Morton. 1 for 15 to Cobb. 1 for 15 to Verlander, and 1 for 15, 5 to Scherzer. Now, if you think that isn't a beautiful, beautiful example of how free agency works in kind of a closed little environment, it's perfect. Those three guys are the best comps there are out there, and they all happen to free agents at the same time. So Max says, hey, Canada, I'll come. I'll rep you. Just give me a little bit more money than Justin. They're like, all right. So I like this. You know, he has battled injuries. Last year was a little bit of a debacle. He had shoulder fatigue. He had a hamstring at the end of the year. Then he got surgery on a herniated disc in his back. All this stuff has happened in the past 12 months. For a 40-year-old, how he's going to recover, I don't know. But the herniated disc thing happened earlier in the offseason. The guy's a workhorse. He's even if his legs were broken, he would still be pacing around the clubhouse. He's going to do the work. He's going to work really hard, and he's not going to be a lack of energy. So it remains to be seen what he's going to bring on the field, but I think the value he's going to bring is the veteran status, you know, and he gets to relink up with his favorite son, Christopher Bassett. So now they're back together. That's an endearing term, by the way. I loved watching Bass and Scherzer talk about pitching. I always try to sneak in and have a conversation with them too, just listen to what they're saying, because they're two wildly different guys. But they had all that. It was just a veritable smorgasbord of info. And now they're back together. And I think that the Toronto Blue Jays are one of those teams that has a lot of guys that underperformed the last couple of years, namely Bo Bichette. Kevin Gausman really struggled last year, but Kevin Gausman gets back into form and looks close to what he has in the couple years before that. If Scherzer can give him 25 starts and be quality, just be like a high 3, mid 3, like they're going to be right there, because that division is really competitive, but also it's kind of open at the same. I don't know. Like, they're all good teams. They have teams with high ceilings. Same with the Red Sox. Tons of dudes coming off injuries. If a bunch of them come back strong, they're going to be really good. But they need a bunch of guys to come back strong. So I think the Blue Jays are the same way. They need some resurgence, but if they do, they have some interesting pieces. And adding Santander, if they snuck in Alonso or Bregman, now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with gasoline. But Max is just fun to have around, man. You know, even if he's not the best version of himself, even if he's not dialed, and he's working through some stuff, he's still awesome to have your team. It's just $15.5 million for a 1-year deal just is not a big deal, even though he is 40 years old, and usually that's not the best situation. Usually. Jorge Blanco re-signs with the Seattle Mariners for a 1-year deal, $7.75 million contract. Now, I know M's fans, and there's a lot of M's fans in the room next to us with Henry. He's a big M's fan. People aren't necessarily stoked about it, but one thing you need to know, going into the season last year, his first year with the M's, he had a career OPS plus of 115, which is 15% above league average. Very good hitter, solid hitter, quality hitter, good hit tool. That's what we call a hit tool. And he played a solid second base. Now, I know he's mentioned he had a nagging knee injury. He had that cleaned up in the offseason. But my guess would be that the Mariners gave him the best offer for a deal, and he took it. But I think he's got to prove a lot here. I love Polo. He's one of my favorite teammates ever. Great teammate, great player. Works hard. Is a gamer. Is a gamer. And he's a really good player. But he's got to go out. He's got to put up. But that answers one question. I've heard he's going to play first base some. I heard he's going to play third base, which is interesting. I don't know if third base is going to be his forte, but range was his issue at second. So maybe it is a better situation. I don't know. I don't know what type of third baseman he's going to be, but for some reason the Mariners can't help it but throw things against the wall and see what sticks. Buck Fanks. Go back to the beginning of the show and you can see all about that. We talked extensively about it at the beginning, at the top, as they say. All right, Carlos Estevez signs with the Kansas City Royals, which is, I think, a huge pickup for them. This guy is a very high-quality bullpen arm, one of the better ones out there. He signed a 2-year, $22.2 million contract. I wonder where that 2 came from, with the club option on the back end. Really interesting. The 32-year-olds, he's been parts of the last 2 seasons, has been a closer. You know, we know the big homer he gave up to Lindor last year. Sorry about that. He's got high 90s to 100 fastball. He was electric with the Angels. He's not going to have to go and immediately close. I'm sure he'll share some of those responsibilities with Lucas Erceg, who is already there. And the Royals are on the up and up, and they grabbed another veteran presence that I think are going to help them. And that makes their bullpen pretty electric if the back 3 are all healthy. Pretty electric. And we're going to get more into bullpens in a moment with our main subject. But I do like this one. And, get you $11.1 million a year. Love that. Do you think they should get rid of opt-outs? No. Why should they get rid of opt-outs? Opt-outs are a phenomenal thing. I think opt-outs are a great leverage situation. They're a great alternative way to sweeten deals or swing some of the advantage one way or the other. Give one side power if they need it. Maybe that's all you need to get over the hump. Maybe it's not about money. So I think opt-outs are a great thing, and they should stay. I think we should keep opt-outs. Obviously, also, this was first reported by Ken Rosenthal, and it turns out, this was also reported by Ken Rosenthal. The Royals were actually interested in Anthony Santander too before they pivoted to Estevez after he signed with the Blue Jays. All right, our final little subject, final piece of the news. Here we go. Barry Larkin. This guy, also doing research for this, by the way. Barry Larkin, so good. He was so good. Hall of Famer Barry Larkin has signed on with a group in his local Orlando to push for an expansion baseball team in Orlando, Florida, because that's what we need, another Florida team. He joins a group that attempted to get a team down there. They join the main contenders, Portland, Nashville, and Charlotte, to throw their hat in the ring. I am looking forward to the next expansion. I think that we're going to get 2 teams when we do. It's not going to happen, I don't think, in the next few years. Probably not. I don't think we're going to hear about anything being locked up until after the next CBA, but it might be in that conversation. But he would like to get a team in Orlando. What do you guys think about that? Would Orlando be a good expansion team? Let me know in the comments below. I'm interested as well. I don't think it would be, but I'm not the biggest fan of playing in Florida, playing baseball in Florida, because it was the Trop, bleh, and it was playing against the Marlins, bleh. So it just wasn't that great. And hopefully it would be an indoor stadium, or that would be the worst thing in the whole planet. So, but one interesting little tidbit here, per the 2024-25 Nielsen rankings, which ranks like media markets. Orlando's the largest media market in the country without an MLB franchise, even bigger than the ones that I just mentioned, Portland, Nashville, and Charlotte. Didn't know that. I would not have guessed. That's actually pretty crazy. Do people go to games in Florida anymore? Well, they will. They will. Is San Antonio still in there too? Florida is for preseason, but nobody down there cares for the teams they have. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, the population of the state gets cut in half in the summer. I've heard Montreal's phenomenal. That's a great comment there, Ryoko. So, Barry Larkin, keep doing God's work, and also love those glasses. You look phenomenal. And that's it for the news. So, did you see that the Skeens 1-of-1 card? Ooh, let's see this. Did you see that the Skeens 1-of-1 card is going to auction? I did see that. Oof. Let's do this real quick. I did see that. That was crazy. So those of you that don't know, there was in the new rollout. I believe it was Topps, right? Topps kind of owns them all now. There's a 1-of-1 Skeens card that was put into a pack. Kind of, and I believe it was a patch from his jersey from his debut, and I believe it functions a little bit like the golden ticket in Willy Wonka. And they were anticipating, no one's going to get it, and someone got it immediately. An 11-year-old kid got it immediately. Pittsburgh Pirates had a feeler out there that they will buy it from anyone who gets it. And he's like, nah. And he's like, we're going to get what we can get for this. So it is going to auction. This must be surreal for Paul Skeens, frankly, just to have people freaking out like this. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. Okay, I need to look up this Pat Hoberg news because I don't even know. All right, before we get into our main subject, I want to do a little hot route. This is something we can do on this show, which I love. I don't want to show you that yet. Pat Hoberg. I'm just going to type in his name here. Breaking news. Oh, that Pat Hoberg. Umpire Pat Hoberg fired by MLB for sharing sports gambling accounts with friend who bet on baseball. Oh, come on. What does that even mean? What do you mean you were sharing it? Umpire Pat Hoberg was fired by Major League Baseball Monday for sharing his legal sports gambling accounts with a friend who bet on baseball games, for intentionally deleting electronic messages pertinent to the league's investigation. Oh no, Pat! So it turns out Pat knew he was screwed, tried to hide it. By the way, guys, deleting text messages doesn't do anything. So give up on that. That never works. Give up on that. Hoberg did not umpire last season. Ooh, okay. So he was been under investigation the whole time. Didn't umpire last season because of it. So this isn't entirely new, but it has now come out that he is fired. He's out. He's done. And it would be very interesting, and I wonder if the legalization of sports betting has anything to do with any of this. Heard it was over $700,000 in bets. Excuse me? Where'd you hear it from that? That's just from the chat. That is not a verified source. MLB said his friend made 141 baseball bets between April 2nd, 2021 and November 1st, 2023, totaling almost $214,000 overall, win of nearly 35. They're not really that good at betting either, are they, huh? Well, actually, no, if you win 30,000, that's pretty good. Bob said it? Ooh, okay, well, Bob said it. Get him out of here. I'm sorry, Pat. Hit the showers, man. Can't be doing that stuff. It's just another I would say victim, but not victim. Another one drops. Another guy bites the dust from the legal betting. We had Ippei Mitsuhara last year. We have those minor leaguers. We had one big league guy, Tucupita Mercano. Crush that. Also banned for life for betting. I just, that's why I don't mess with the stuff. Honestly, I didn't mess with it either because it's just like it's too much work. It was mostly too much work, but also like I don't know. I just it didn't get me jazzed. I just like watching sports. But I know the vast majority of people are doing it, being smart about it, and but it's just something that there's enough things we have to resist with people trying to mine our attention and shady stuff happening in algorithms and stuff that like, do we need another thing we got to constantly be conscious of so we don't get in trouble, right? Or we don't like it doesn't hurt us. I don't know. It just feels like another one of those things. So it is what it is. I just if you need help, please make sure you tell somebody and take care of yourself. Just be smart. Be smart if you're out there doing it. All right. I know you guys. I believe in you guys. I know you guys are great. Cool. All righty then. Ooh, you hear that roll? A lot of news. We are, I believe, 11 days from the advent of 2025 spring training, which we will be doing all kinds of fun things throughout spring training and different subjects. But my first main story for the 2025 season of predictions or basically of rankings. I don't do rankings a lot, but this is something I would like to do more often and more this year so we can go back and check them as time goes on. And today we are getting into something that is near and dear to my heart. My top 5 bullpens as of right now, February 3rd, 2025. For the 2025 season. Now there's a ton of bullpen guys out there still. We still got Phil Maton. We still got Ryan Stanberg. We still got a bunch of guys. Timothy Hill's still out there. There's going to be guys dropping everywhere. Adam Ottavino will probably end up somewhere. Like there's a lot of good pitchers available still for bullpens. So these things couldn't change. These bullpens could get better, but we are going to do our top bullpens, and I will tell you why. Now, one interesting thing that we try to set some parameters for these things. So I think about bullpens a little bit differently than a lot of other people. In my opinion, there are 3 elements that make a bullpen quality, okay? And I'll give you some examples of someone who fits in these buckets. And I think that each bullpen could be separated into what guys kind of fulfill these roles and how well they do it, okay? So we'll be giving ratings or grades, if you will, and we'll be ranking them, okay? So the 3 categories are as follows. 1, emergency. How do you handle when your team needs, the bullpen thrown in a bullpen day? So how well can you handle just the whole bullpen pitching all day? So that's one thing. Say the starter gets kicked out early and you need guys to bridge the gap to get to the guys who are going to hold the zeros or keep the game close. Prime example of an emergency, a guy who fits in that emergency bucket, 2022, Trevor Williams, that guy saved us. He saved us. He spot started. He went through 3-4 innings when the starter got knocked out early. With their injuries. Trevor Williams just holding the guys down. Kept us in games. We came back a bunch of times. He was a huge reason we won 101 games that year. Like a Trevor Williams would be one of your emergency type guys in the bullpen. How many quality arms do you have that can throw multiple innings and get you into the fireman situation? Second, we have the bridge guys, aka the firemen. The guys who throw the fifth, come in, get a last out for that starter to get through the 5th inning, and then throw the 6th. These guys can throw multiple innings, but they can throw in semi-leverage and they can bridge you to your back end. You want to get to your back end. You want to get to your 7, 8, 9. The best thing is to have guys that you line up for 7, 8, 9, but these guys are also can fill in for back end when those guys are down. You want quality fireman bridge type guys. Example of a bridge type guy, 2019 Tyler Duffy, 2019 me. Who's another example playing now? The Dodgers have a bunch of them, right? You could throw anybody in there. But like, the Danny Colooms of the world. The guys who maybe aren't the hardest throwers, like Caleb Thielbar, things like that. Guys who are quality, can go out and throw a good inning in the 5th or 6th inning and get you there. And then you have the back end, our third category. So I'm going to grade all of these 3, and that's your big 3. Guys who could save a game if you needed to, and your setup. So it's usually 3, maybe 4 guys that are in rotation throwing those last 3 innings of a game. All right? Alex Vesia is a great example of a bridge guy. Alex Vesia, Anthony Banda a little bit towards the end. Can't remember the kid who was doing it for San Diego, but he was good too. And you got to have a closer, and that's back end. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about who my top 5 bullpens going into 2025 are. First things first, though, we got to have an honorable mention. Honorable mention, Baltimore Orioles. They're not making the top 5, but they're getting Felix Bautista back. They have Sir Anthony Dominguez. I actually have a nice list here. Let me go pull it up. And they got Greg Soto, who could make Greg Soto could make a bit of a comeback after a little bit of a weaker year. Those are some guys with some flames. They have Yanier Cano, and they got Andrew Kittredge. Now, a lot of these guys have struggled a little bit. Maybe they're a little older. So, again, these guys ceiling, like the Baltimore Orioles could have a top 3 bullpen if they're all healthy and throwing well. Keegan Aiken, lots of good options. But they just missed out on my top 5, and you'll see why. And a lot of this is recent bias, and all of this is, you'll see. It's interchangeable. These guys could probably be in, but I think that there's a few guys that need to kind of prove themselves and be healthy. All right? But Felix Bautista coming back makes them very, very good. Number 5 on my list, the New York Yankees. And I know that's very hard to see. Did not think about that. Sorry. My number 5 bullpen is the New York Yankees. The one issue and why they weren't put a little higher is because they currently do not have a lefty. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what they do have. And I made you a little thing here. All right. Now, they could add a lefty, and there's a few out there, which there's Danny Colum, who I mentioned before, there's Tim Hill, there's Andrew Chafin, and there's Brooks Raley. All of those will be very quality lefties. I think all of them will fit. It'll probably be Tim Hill, would be my guess. But here's the 3 categories. I give him a C+ in emergency because, honestly, emergency is going to be a little bit of a crapshoot going through this, just so you guys know. There's not going to be a ton of guys who are like proven long guys. Like, it's usually, they're usually, I don't want to say it any like this in any negative way, but they're usually the dregs of the bullpen, right? Usually. Unless you're, the Ryan Yarbroughs of the world, and that's what you're going to be every single time. But they have Clayton Beer, Ian Hamilton, Will Warren, that's supposed to say, and Yandris Gomez. They're going to bridge with Mark Leiter Jr., Fernando Cruz, and Jake Cousins. Fernando Cruz was the guy they picked up this offseason, who has one of the most nutty splitters I've ever seen. Actually, Mark Leiter Jr. also has a crazy splitter. So that's 2 crazy splitters, and Jake Cousins got that slider from hell. But that's a pretty solid group. A little bit inexperienced, but Fernando Cruz had some holds last year. They have holds. Mark Leiter Jr. did it for the Cubs. That's solid. That's okay. It's a fine bridge. But their back end of Luke Weaver and Devin Williams, it's an A. Those 2 guys, 8, 9. I would feel very confident having those 2 dudes out there. But overall, we give the New York Yankees a B minus on the bullpen across the board. Though there's still time. If they add like a Danny Colum, if they add a lefty, I think that the emergency will go up to a B, and they'll probably go to a flat B, would be my guess. That'll be my guess. All right. That's number 5 on our list. Number 4, the Kansas City Royals. I know. Y'all are like, excuse me? Now, you got to remember, the Royals started last year – not the best. in the bullpen. They struggled to find who was going to close games. They've had a lot of their guys a lot of people thrown in that position, doing their best. I believe, did they have Aroldis last year? I don't know. He's been everywhere. But the Kansas City Royals have added Carlos Estevez. They got Lucas Urseg, and they got Hunter Harvey coming back. That's electricity. 3 absolute flamethrower arms. Like, those are 3 dudes. Carlos Estevez has a lot of closing experience. Lucas Urseg is a budding, dominant closer. And Hunter Harvey has gotten so much better in the last year that I think those 3 guys, though young and a little bit more unproven, are electric in ability to go get strikeouts. I'll show you right here. You saw the back end. I give that an A-. I think those guys are good, even though the only reason they are not an A and an A- is they're a little unproven. But I'll take those 3 guys any day of the week. B+ overall. In the bridge, Sam Long, John Schreiber, and Angel Zerpa. Honestly, that's kind of mean with the B-. That's probably more of a B+. Angel Zerpa's can pitch every freaking day. He's left-handed. He throws cheese. John Schreiber absolutely owns Aaron Judge. And then Sammy Long got the big curve. That's 2 good lefties. I like those guys. And their emergency is really good. Chris Bubich. He did a great job in this role last year. He is he can throw multiple innings. He's an ex-starter. He did a great job there. Michael Lorenzen. So it's between Bubich. I'm going to keep saying it. Bubich and Lorenzen to see who starts. But either way, whoever makes it into the pen is great. Chris Stratton's another guy who's really good at getting you the bridge. He actually might throw more of a bridge. You could swap him with Sammy Long. And then Taylor Clark is kind of the last guy out of their pen. But these guys, I think these guys, they have a good smattering of guys who can throw multiple innings. Like even Zerpa and Long can both throw multiples as well. So you can go get you 4 or 5 outs. I like that as a bridge. And they're all fairly durable and stayed healthy. So I like this bullpen a lot. I think they're sleeper. And once they added Estevez, that moved them into my list. Now, if the Yankees sign a lefty like today, I think that they jump them. So they probably go to 5. But right now, they're a 4. I understand it is the 3rd of February. So don't yell at me. I just work here. Okay? Number 3 on my list. Say hello to the Cleveland Guardians. Bah, 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 bah. Cleveland Guardians. Number 3. All right, Cleveland Guardians. Now, we know a lot about how they put together their bullpen in the playoffs last year. That, a.k.a. every single one of you pitching every single day. These guys are known for building bullpens. Pitching in general, pitching development in Cleveland has been really good for over a decade now. Well over a decade, actually, for a while. Remember when Kluber appeared out of nowhere? Yeah, me too. I watched him. Appear. They have their whole bullpen coming back, and they're all on like rookie deals. Like there's nobody really leaving. They didn't lose anything, and they only added, and they were the best bullpen by numbers last year in the league. So here's what I have for how this is put together, and I like it a lot. Eric Sabrowski, Ben Lively, Andrew Walters, and Joey Cantillo. If Joey Cantillo makes it, he'll be the long guy. He's known for all the wild pitches in the playoffs. I give him a little bit of a break on that. But this is a good. There's a lot here. Ben Lively was really good last year. Did a great job. If he gets moved to the bullpen, he'll be a long guy. Joey Cantillo. So one of those 2 guys is going to be in the rotation, but whoever goes to the bullpen is going to do a good job. So they have a true long one. They got a true long guy. Sabrowski threw well in the playoffs as well. And then you get to the bridge. We got Tim Herron, who is nasty. He's a goober, but that guy is freaking nasty. He had an ungodly year this year. And then they added Paul Sewald. Who will probably throw in a bridge situation. He'll be the 7th inning guy, maybe, with the opportunity to throw in the back end. But again, Sewald and Herron, they can rotate into that back end. And then we have the big 3 in Cade Smith, who is my spirit animal. Cade Smith reminds me of me so much. He should be so lucky. and Hunter Gaddis and Emmanuel Clase. Clase had one of the greatest closing seasons in history last year, and I know the playoffs went the way the playoffs went, but he still remains one of the most dominant closers, if not the most dominant closer in the major leagues at the moment. But Cade Smith is an absolute monster, and he will also be doing bridge stuff too. So these three guys are good as anybody. I would take those three guys any game, anytime, against any team. I think they're pretty dang good. All right? That's number 3. And coming in at a crisp number 2, I think my chat will enjoy this one. It's the Minnesota Twins. Yeah. 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 Yep. I did it. And I'll tell you why. Minnesota Twins are 2 because of those guys. Now, I'll be honest. Louis Varland, I think you could probably just put Louis Varland over in bridge, and those 3 guys could all also do back end. So these 5 guys can do all of the things, except for Duran. Duran's a closer, right? So all of these guys have experience doing all of the leverage. But on any given day, Griffin Jax is going to throw the 8th. Griffin Jax has been one of the best 8th inning guys in the major leagues for the last 3 years. Product of Air Force. I don't know if you knew that. Also, great dude. Love Griffin a lot. Watching him pitch is amazing. He throws one of the best sweepers there is. Yon Duran has been, we know, 104. The guy can throw 104. Louis Varland can run it up to 100. Brock Stewart can run it up to 100. Jorge Alcala can all run it up to 100. That's 5 guys that all have thrown 100 miles an hour. Wow. But let's also talk about emergency. So the scores, we have the scores here. Emergency. It's funny. I gave the Twins a B+. They get an A. They're an A. This is an A bullpen. This is an A bullpen. I don't know why this is B+. I'm an idiot. Emergency. Cody Funderburk, Michael Tonkin, Justin Topa, and Cole Sands. Cole Sands, Justin Topa, Michael Tonkin all have experience. They are solid. Come in, shut the rally down type guys. They're going to do a good job of that. I like Justin Topa and Tonkin for a lot of this, like multiple inning, throw 1 inning and 2/3, get you to the 6th inning. So they're set up pretty well there. I think Funderburk is a ex-starter, I believe. I don't know a lot about him, so I'm sorry. And these 2 are nasty. These 2 are filthy, and these 3 are gross. Altogether, B+ bridge into an A+ back end gives you a B+, aka A overall. The Minnesota Twins, I just think Griffin Jackson and Yohan Duran are just about as good as they get. And then you add 3 other dudes who can rotate, who all throw 100. Obviously, injury permitting, and I have a little bit of a bias and sweet spot for the Minnesota Twins, but they have a very, very good bullpen this year. All right. That is our number 2, and now we're gonna get in to our number 1 best bullpen going into the 2025 season. Can I get a drum roll, please? It is. It's the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers. So, let me tell you why. This is the Dodgers bullpen. Emergency. Ben Kasparius. He's got length. That guy's good. Anthony Banda is an emergency guy in this bullpen. Excuse me? You could throw him over in bridge as well. Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May, one of them is going to be in the bullpen. Probably Tony Gonsolin. Again, another guy who can do length. Dustin May throwing 1 inning scares the hell out of me. And then we got Brusdar Graterol, who's also going to be in the bridge. So throw Graterol in the bridge and throw Banda in the bridge also. But they're also going to be throwing in the 4th. Like right now, Graterol and Banda will be throwing in the 4th inning if a starter doesn't make it, which is just stupid. That's just stupid. That's ridiculous. And it makes me mad. Okay? Then we get to the bridge, A+ bridge. Again, throw those 2 guys over in the bridge. We got Vesia, the punchy machine. We got the Vesia Vaunts, just full around the mound, which I love. After I interviewed him for the Cut on the Diamond pod. That episode's coming out next week. I love it. I loved it. I love this man. I love watching him pitch. And then Michael Kopech, who throws 101. So, who closed all year for the White Sox, and now he's the bridge. He's not even the back end because we have Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, and Blake Trinan closing games out. Excuse me. Now, again, we could take Kopech and we could take Vestia. We could also throw them in the back end, right? Like they can match up. So all of these guys, Gratterall's going to throw the 8th inning and he's going to throw the 3rd inning. I bet you he throws the 3rd inning in a game this year and he throws the 9th inning in a game this year. I bet he throws the 7th and the 8th. I bet he throws once in every inning all year. Everyone in this bullpen will throw crazy. Blake Trinan will be on the mound in the 5th inning this year. And he'll also be closing. And I even forgot to put Evan Phillips in here. Evan Phillips was supposed to be in the bridge, which I just realized I forgot to re-add. Evan Phillips. Put it in there, editor. Write it in. Evan Phillips. Throw him in the back end. We forgot about Evan Phillips. They DFA'd Ryan Brazier because there's nowhere to put him. Ryan Brazier was like here last couple of years. They're like, we got enough of you. We got enough guys that like you. So someone's going to get Brazier. It is not going to be the Dodgers as of right now. Oh, we got Kirby Yates. Dude, holy moly with you know. Can we put Yates over there too, editor? Thank you so much. But this is a very good bullpen. Obviously, it's an A+ across the board. The emergency, I give an A- because it's just a crapshoot. It's hard to give an A+ for emergency. Unless you have like closers in here. But they're in the A's because they have a guy with a really great last name in there. Yerby Cakes, dude. Yerby Rakes, dude. Oh my God, that says Cribby. Kill me. That says Cribby Yakes. I love doing this show so much. I love doing this show. All right. That's my bullpen. Those are my bullpen ratings. Once again, we have my top 5 bullpens. Honorable mention Orioles. Then we go with number 5 is the Yankees. Number 4 is the Royals. Number 3 is the Guardians. Number 2 is the Twins. And number 1 is the Doyers. Now, there are some other ones I missed, right? There's some other quality groups of guys. I think that they have potential to be up there and pushing in into this conversation. Though, like the Astros, right? I know they don't impress anymore, but they still have Brian Abreu. They're probably an honorable mention. Brian Abreu and Hader are filthy. The rest of the bullpen, not as good, though. They probably, though, I wouldn't be surprised if they're probably in that conversation, too. They're just they have some gaps. So those are my top 5 bullpens going into 2025 as of right now. Let me know down in the comments or anywhere else what you think about this group. And we'll see what the Mariners do with Matt Brash. And so yeah. Also, we had a great question here. Give me one breakout bullpen piece of this year. Let me say that one more time. One breakout bullpen piece this year. I will give you one guy that I watched pretty consistently. And also, I watched him make his debut, and I got a vibe for kind of his mindset and his repertoire. And I think that he is going to develop into a very important piece for this team. Yes, it is a hometown player. I get to watch this team a lot. I get to watch him in person. I think Troy Taylor of the Seattle Mariners will end up setting up for Munoz more often than not. I think that Troy Taylor is going to get a lot of opportunity and leverage in his sophomore year, I guess. So he's only got about, I think 6 weeks or maybe 2 months in the big leagues. Guy's filthy. Throws 96, 98. Good slider. Fills it up. Goes right after guys. Crazy ride. He's good. He's good. Please do a bottom five. Maybe we'll do bottom fives next week. I just gotta, this takes a lot of preparation, guys. You gotta be patient with me. Gotta be patient. Oh, well, that would explain it. Dang it. Chris, I swear to God, I switched it. The button didn't work. Dang it. Anywho, Future Brave, Troy Taylor, shush up. What about Skeen's girlfriend? Okay, anyway, guys, talk amongst yourselves. I am having to use the restroom. 2 minutes, and we will be back with more. But get your questions ready, guys. Get your questions ready in the chat as we are going to do questions from the audience when we get back. But I will be right back using the restroom, and we will move on with our lives. Okay, enjoy. Hello. Welcome back. Hopefully you all went and got a drink yourself. Look at that timing. Clearly he was a pro. Yep. Good guess. You're right. I am. Okay. Moving hither. So, as I've told you quite a bit in the past, guys, we have... Hold on. I actually need to... We are on Mailbag Ask Me Anything. So, any of you who are new here to the show, just know that you can ask questions at any point during the show, and I try to get to them as I see them. In the future, we're gonna have a nice queue, and we're gonna put away some time, put some time on the side to continue to answer the questions and get into more of the conversational stuff. In the meantime, though, if you ever have a question not during the show, before or after, you can submit it in a bunch of different ways. One is go to the Discord, go to Questions for Trevor. I grab a bunch of those. We have 3 of them today. Excuse me again. So you can do it that way. You can also Join my Instagram group. It's called Mayday. It's on my profile on my Instagram page, TrevMay65. If you're interested in that, you can. I put up a poll there, and you can just answer there. And just general comments on the YouTube channel. So if you have questions and you are watching the show, by the way, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the YouTube channel, please. We are trying to push for 100,000 subscribers. We're at 92,000 now, which is amazing. 8,000 away. I'm trying to get there as quickly as humanly possible so I can feel good about myself. Get a plaque, put it up behind me. It'll be awesome. I can't wait to do that. And also the little thumbs up that helps people find the stream. So that means a lot too. But leave comments below in the show itself. And on any other video that is related to this. So anything that is from this, I read a lot of comments. I know you're not supposed to do that for YouTube, but I do. So you can submit your questions that way. All right? Okay. So we got to go cycle through this again. There's got to be a better way. We're going to get a better situation. And this is nice and slow. I like it. It's nice and smooth. It's a good presentation, right? All right. So we got a great question from Kiko 50552 in Discord. What was it like pitching in a critical situation? Like in a pressure, high leverage, scary situation where you're always nervous that you would make a mistake. What was your favorite moment from your baseball career? That last part is a doozy. But what was it like pitching in a critical moment? Let me start by saying I've never felt more alive than when I pitched in a big situation, especially in the situations where I had very little, I think, leeway to make any mistakes at all. So here's kind of how I always thought about it. The later into the game you were pitching with the lead, so a lot of people, right? This was a conversation going around the major leagues for a long time, that like getting big outs in the fifth inning is just as important as getting big outs in the ninth. I don't agree, because the amount of time left in the game to undo a mistake is an important part of that leverage situation, right? So the ninth inning, you can't give up the lead in the ninth because you only have one. You either get walked off or you only have 3 outs to rebuttal. But if you give up the lead in the fifth, you have an opportunity to come back at some point later in the game. So the I guess the situation getting really bad or the crushing, element of that is less earlier in the game. So the later in the game I was, the more aware of that I was. And there's a lot of pressure that you would put on yourself going into a critical situation where you're like, I can't mess this up because, and then however you answer that question determines how nervous you're going to be. So if you are only worried, I can't mess this up because this is a must-win game, that you can handle because you're a competitor. You're like, well, that's a challenge now. Like, I deserve to be here. I'm a part of the reason we win games, so I'm going to get this done. But if you're thinking like, I can't mess this up because what will people think? That's when things get a little bit awry, and you start to doubt your own. You're putting value in other people's hands, and that it's hard to be confident when you do that. So I've gone through both, and it's nerve-wracking. But the way that I always worked through it, and I thought that this was something that really unlocked my life, because I'm an anxious dude. I think that's pretty clear by this point. I went on the IL for anxiety. I would force the thought in my head what it's going to feel like to be successful. I'll be like, man, it's going to feel great. Like, how good am I going to feel when it works out? And then the other side of that too, if I needed any additional motivation, I would basically look up at the crowd, and if they got loud, especially like I did this at home, I remember this vividly. One of my last saves was in Seattle, and I believe in 2023 was the only time we beat the Mariners. So we beat them once of 13 times, and it was like the last time we played them. And I remember punching out Gino Suarez and like doing a big celebration, because I looked around, and even though these are my people, I'm like, man, everyone in this stadium is going to be real sad when I shut this thing down. And so my whole goal became make everyone cheering for him sad. And yeah, that's a very Michael Jordan, like make up a slight type of way of thinking, but that's what happens out there. So sometimes you just get really pumped up, and then the hitter thinks you hate him, but in reality, you've just created a story in your head in order to get the job done. And that's what I did. And that's what it's like. And guys that learn that are the best ones. That's that confidence you see. The story they're telling themselves, they're in control, and they're always in control. That's why Josh Hader is never in trouble. Or when he is, it's often a lot right at once. But that's why these guys are so good at what they do. And my favorite moment from my baseball career is a prime example of that moment. One of those moments was the reverse boycott game in Oakland 2 years ago. I made that decision. My season had been going crappy. I felt terrible. I felt out of control. I felt like I had no power. So I decided to stop it. And that day, something broke. Something snapped. I was like, I hate this. This sucks. And I'm tired of it. So I'm just going to make it not be this way anymore. And then I did. And it's just that easy. So that's a great question. Thank you, Kiko. Again, if you guys want to get your comment on or your question answered on the show, you can put it in Discord or comment anywhere on the YouTube, and I'll enjoy it. I'll enjoy it. Ooh, another good one right here. Thank you for that. We have, is it challenging for a starter to go, oop, and I oop? Okay. Is it challenging for a starter to go from a 5-day rotation to a 6-day? For some people, yes. For some people, no. Everyone's different. This is a good question again. Relievers is the same way. Like when you get sore, how long you are sore, when you throw your bullpens, all is different, varies guy to guy. A lot of guys like to throw a bullpen 2 days after their start. A lot of guys like to throw 3 days after their start. Some guys like to rest a lot. Some guys like to throw a lot. Some guys like to get back out there because they think about it mentally too much and their body's ready to go, but their brain can't wait anymore and they overthink it. So they want to throw on a 5-day. Guys who don't care about that at all and would love the extra day, they want to throw on a 6-day. So it just depends. It just depends what makes you most comfortable, and sometimes it's a lot of the stories you tell yourself. Same thing with the relievers. A lot of guys didn't like throw back-to-back. I loved throwing back-to-back. Sugar Diaz, whenever you get 3-0, he just walk them most of the time. Me, I always came back from 3-0. It's just the way that we were, like the way that we saw that situation and the value of it. We would approach it in different ways. It's the same thing with rotation. It's the same thing with a rotation. So, next up, we had a really interesting thing. I had a great article sent to me from the Baseball Prospectus. Now, you're not going to be able to, hold on, let me get the medium in here. This is behind a paywall, so I'm not going to read it to you word for word either. If you want to read the full thing, please go to Baseball Prospectus and pay, guys. They are writing these things. They appreciate it. So, but I'm going to give you, this just prompted an idea in my head, and then I'm going to expand on it. The Yankees love one weird trick. Now, the idea is that they build a bullpen using one-trick ponies. And that bullpen was Tommy Kahnle, who threw only changeups. He literally threw 50 in a row. Tim Hill only threw sinkers. They had Mark Leiter Jr. literally only throwing splitters. They had Clay Holmes throwing tons of sliders. So they have all these guys that throw one really weird, really good pitch, and they're built their whole bullpen based on that. And if you look at how it's built now, which we talked about earlier, Andy Fernando Cruz is the same thing. He throws that really weird split change thing. And they added another guy who does that. They added Danny Colum. You see a lot of cutters. So they listed 6 guys in this article. 4 of those 6 guys led the league in the pitch that they threw the most, in percentage-wise. They led the league. They throw it the most of anybody, that pitch. And it seems like this has been a concerted effort by the Yankees, which is interesting because why would you want to have a bullpen that all does one thing really well? I've always wondered about that, but it's just an interesting food of thought. So I've always been under the you don't want to have only one thing in your bullpen. So this goes against that. But this is an interesting take on how you put together a bullpen. And they seem to be still looking for it to this day. And now I want to watch this coming year if they really work on getting everyone to throw their best pitch a crap ton, because that seems to be an offshoot of the mindset that has been being used for pitchers a lot lately is throw your best pitch more often. These guys are saying throw your best pitch all of the time. It's a team full of Sergio Romo throwing sliders, which I don't think you can go wrong with a bunch of Sergio Romos in your bullpen. So it seems to be working, but let's pay attention and see if they continue to do it. Let's see if they continue to do it going into the 2025 season. Another interesting thing that that we did, a new segment, right? Called Isn't That Interesting? Which I don't know why this isn't working. Drive me crazy. And now they have the Airbender. Exactly. We have in our segment, Isn't That Interesting? I have tasked our Zoomers, our Gen Z, and, well, I mean, I'm sure Jan Alpha is going to be following not too far behind him, to find some of the most interesting conversations happening on the internet. And guess what? For the first time ever in the history of a YouTube channel, we are looking at a Reddit thread. This is from /RBaseball. And the question posed was, what are the worst one-year contracts of all time? I could even zoom this in for you guys. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. What are the worst one-year contracts of all time? And this is a conversation. This is a question I'm asking you. There's a bunch of great ones given in this. One was Cole Hamels 2020. I think he threw like, I don't know, 20 innings for $11 million. And I want to hear, what are your favorite one-year deals that just simply didn't produce anything? I mean, there's some out there that, you know, there's some out there that are like, they get injured and then they don't pitch. Those are different. Throw your best pitch. Matt Whistler of the Tampa Bay Rays has entered. Do not start with Whistler with me, all right? I know that man very well. But let's see what these guys are saying, because there's some good ones. And pardon any horrible stuff. Braves paid Cole Hamels $18 million for 3 innings. I love that they throw the ERA out here like, first of all, how the hell do you have an 8 ERA with 3 innings? Oh, you got to remember, though, it's only $6.66 million. So it's prorated, so that's not too bad. That's not too bad. We had another good one in here, too. Hold on, let me zoom down here. There's so many comments, guys. Maybe we should screenshot next time. This is hard to do. And the team is still selling his jersey for a cool $360. There's still a Braves Cole Hamels jersey for $360. That's awesome. Matt Harvey to the Angels. I was here for this. 1 year, $11 million, 7. This was 2019, I believe. And a funny story about that is, I believe the Twins were the ones who got him thrown off because we were supposed to play a getaway day. We had an off day after we were going to go home, right? And instead of that, so instead of having the off day, so Matt Harvey had booked a boat and he was going to take his teammates out on the off day to go like hang out on the water. And we got rained out in LA it never happened, right? For some reason we got rained out. And so we had to play on the off day. And so Harvey was supposed to start on that day. So Harvey had to start the next day. He was not about it. I believe we scored like 11 runs off him in 2 innings and hit like 6 homers or something, 5 homers off him. And it was a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath. He didn't seem too into being there that day. And yeah, 1 year, $11 million. Not great. Jim Johnson in Oakland. That's another good one. If you really think about it, the Dodgers paid basically $60 million less for less than 1 year of Trevor Bauer. That's tough. Holy crap. All right, so we're going to use a multiple year, $245 million for Strasburg. That's probably one of the worst contracts just overall in history. And honestly, I will say this. I think Strasburg, I'm going to count some of this pay as paying him for his World Series. So it's back pay. Okay. So some of it, he gets some credit for that. And to be honest, with how he pitched and where we are, like, I don't blame them for making this deal either. It just happened to go the worst possible scenario it could possibly go. And he got an injury that was just, he just couldn't get through it. Like, sometimes you get hurt. Like, I think Prince Fielder's neck, like, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. You've broken beyond repair you've broken beyond the point of being able to compete at a high level, and you move on. So, but that said, it's not quite the same, but this is up there with Deshaun Watson. Chris Davis is up there too. Crush Davis's contract was tough. Now we're getting into the 1-year contracts. We had Tim Anderson last year, but he only signed a 1-year 7, so I'm not going to say that. It's weird because it's hard to, like I was mentioning earlier with Scherzer, it's hard to gauge the value of a 1-year deal and think that it's bad, because 1-year deals are such low risk. Like, yeah, the most you'll miss out on $10 million, which, I mean, that's a lot of money. I'm not trying to downplay that, but I'd say in the scope of things, like, that's the equivalent of one of your $30 million guys missing a third of the season. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it sucks, but it's not like the end of the world. So, like, all these contracts are kind of like that. But it was an interesting question posed. I thought it was interesting. But I would say Crush Davis might be. I don't know. Is Crush Davis's contract worse than Steven Strasburg's? Would you sign a contract to be a legend in the MLB The Show? I don't know what that means, Lyle. Sensei, 75 months in a row. Thank you so much. Actually, that reminds me. Let's go see where all the subs are. We had a bunch. We had a bunch come through. And I'm excited about it. Though I don't know where they are. So, oh, it's at the top here. Hold on. Jesus Christ. Sorry, guys. I have to do all this manually. What is going on right now? All right. We had a bunch here. Hold on. Oh, my God. We've had a ton. Let me catch up on all the subs while we have a moment here. Small Painted. Wait, is this today? 81 months. Wow. 75 months for Sensei. Thank you for the Zeke with the super chat for $4.99. Thank you so much. The Dead Jester super chat $5. Thank you so much, Jeff. 9 months sub. Brand new sub from Doc Holiday. 5 month sub from Chris Hannell. CMJ 46 months. Danny 64 months. New sub from GBB 26 months. Dude. New sub from T-Nod. Thank you so much. Yeah. We're gonna, we need this to be a little better. Yeah, this is a little strong. No, I'm not, I gotta figure out a little bit better way to make sure that these things are in front of my face more often. All right. Like I find myself having to navigate a window way. All right. Hey, FXGN, brand new sub. Wow, guys, all you new subs. Look at you. You're cute. Mr. Coffee, thank you so much. Welcome in, Mr. Coffee, brand new sub. T-Nod, Zeke from YouTube. Hello, you Zeke. How you doing? Always forget to sub here. Hey, no problem, T-Nod, appreciate you either way. Thank you so much. All right, guys, isn't that interesting? I thought you would think it was interesting because I did. I thought it was interesting. All right. We have more questions. We got more questions from the Discord. Going to hop right back into it. Isn't that interesting? JVX in Discord. Do you think players not being a one-team player anymore is a problem? I believe that means why are guys not playing for one organization their whole careers? If yes, what is the solution besides just pay them? Only thing I've come up with is a pool of money, like a rookie one, that gives teams a percentage of the contract back. So this is interesting, okay? The reason that we don't have as many players that play for one team for very long anymore is because of the way that free agency has changed. The number one rule of thumb usually is get to free agency. That's when you get the most money that you possibly can get. And by that thinking, the team you were just on that had control over you for 6 years has had 6 years to get a better deal to sign you long term, right? But instead, what they want to do is they want to pay you as little as possible for those 6 years. And then once you get to free agency and your ability to make what you're worth happens, that team no longer wants to pay you. They are now at there very rarely is interest to bring you back at that point because you're more expensive than they want to deal with. So it is a two-way street here, but like the nature of that being the way it is, there's no incentive for a team to pay you free agency money that you were just on. So like the motivation to bring you back is the lowest for the team you were on. So that's why it's not happening very often. So the way that this would happen, stay with me here. The best way for a guy to play his entire career for a team would be one, Julio Rodriguez actually fulfills his contract. So he has to put up numbers to get those and start getting those incentives back to where it is a better deal for him to stay than to go. And then the team also has to feel the other way. They got to feel like it's good to have you, but you're still affordable. So even him, say in 8 years, if he's cooking, he still might be too expensive in their mind, and they still get rid of him. And that's just the way our markets work. Now, salary caps are the reason that some teams play because you can project like this is the maximum money I'm going to be worth at any point, and every team can offer this. So I might as well stay with the team that I like. I might as well stay here. Your earning potential of going somewhere else is way more limited in every other sport than baseball. And that is why we're not going to see this very often, because signing team-friendly deals, the team-friendly deals are getting more and more ridiculous. Like you're going to need people to sign like Ozzy Albies deals, like Max Kepler deals, right? 7-year, $35 million. Those are terrible deals. Those are awful. That's an awful deal. That's an awful deal. The Michael Harris deal, 8 years, $72 million for center fielder. Like you're going to have to sign deals like that. Everyone's going to have to sign deals like that. But why would you do that when you see another center fielder when he making it to free agency 2 years after you, and then he signs a 7-year, $180, and he's making over twice as much as you? You know how that feels? You're like, dude, damn it. And the team's like, well, we wouldn't have given you that. So then you have to weigh like, do I like being here versus do I like money? And also there's you have a little bit of a responsibility to continue building the market for people after you. There's a little bit of that. Guys don't think about that very often. I did, but a lot of people don't. So it's just kind of all the incentives point to go somewhere else, all of them. So that's just how do we fix it? We don't. This will only happen if players make less money overall. And that's probably not going to happen. Not going to happen. Like, I don't even hate Ozzy Albies' agent either. I think they did their best. I think Ozzy just wanted to feel safe. Like, he wanted to have a little bit of safety. That's it. AA is a mad scientist. I will never understand his reasoning at the time, but he always pulls out of his ass somehow and makes it work. Dude's a genius. It's not like that. He's not doing it. Anyone could do it, guys. What he does is he pesters you. What he does is he offers extensions to guys over and over and over again, is what he does. He's just persistent. It's not like he's like, it's a pretty cut and dry situation. Hey, dude, we want to give you this much money for this many years. And then you go look at your contract and be like, okay, these are going to be the ARB years, so that I might be worth this much. And then free agency years are usually worth this much. It's a pretty easy calculation to do. And almost every single time, if you do that calculation and you bet on yourself, there's more money to be projected than what you're being offered. He just got some guys to take the offers. That's not like it is like it's a smart play, but like if you just He tried it with Austin Riley. Austin Riley said no, 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 until he eventually got the 212. But I don't know how many deals Michael Harris heard about. I don't know how many deals Ozzie heard. Maybe that was the first one they were offered, and they took it. And if you get a couple guys to do that, then you get a lot of value for not as much money. But that's the player's fault. It's kind of the player not doing due diligence more than it is the GM being a genius, because it's not that complicated. Does that make sense? You're not getting tied into a pretzel. You're just like, it's pretty easy to make a decision. To figure out like what the angle is. But that said, I think AA is a great GM and it built a great team, and he did, and it was a good strategy because he knew who he had. So like in that way, he is a genius. But like the process itself is pretty simple. It's pretty easy, and if you have a GM that, or if you have an agent that understands it at all, you can get it broken down for you. Acuna too, yeah. But Acuna's was at least triple digits in the millions, right? It's only a smart play because it worked out. Exactly. And you got to know there's a bunch of other teams probably also offering their team. So yeah, there was a little bit of taking advantage of probably not so smart of GMs, or not GMs, agents. Some agents got excited. They was like their first client or whatever. You got big eyes because they were going to get a portion of it, and that happens too. And it's just part of the deal. You just gotta hope. You gotta hope it doesn't happen to you, basically. All right, good. That's a great question. Thank you so much, JVX in the Discord. I love it when you guys give me questions. We have another one in here. Sunny Mento, also from the Discord. What are your rituals on your off days when you were a starter? Oh my God. Dude, no way. Booyaka? Guys, the owner of Luminosity just gifted us 10 subs, dude. What up, brother? How you doing, man? Thank you so much for the 10 gifted. Can I get some love in the chat? 10 gifted on Twitch. That was very nice of you, man. Appreciate it. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the show. That was very nice. Everyone, if you got a sub from Booyaka, please say thank you. Please say thank you. What were the rituals on your off days when you were a starter? And what did the rituals change when you transitioned to the bullpen? So this is the interesting thing for me. I don't know if you're asking me if it's the team having an off day or if we're just talking about the days I'm not pitching. But I'll just go through a 5-day routine. I don't think I've ever actually said this live. So we'll go through a 5-day routine as a starter. You pitch. Pitching is day one. So you go out, you wake up, you have a good breakfast, you go for a walk. I try to move around, go to lunch, hang out with my family, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. I try to go do something so I don't lose my mind all day. Get to the field about 2:30, and then go over, do my pre-work and stuff, go over the team, whatever, try to be prepared. The day after, I would throw long toss. So this is something no one else really did, but I would go. I love playing catch the day after, and I would go throw a long toss, throw out to like 280, 300 feet, just try to get the ball, get some air into the ball. And then I would throw my bullpen. That's my second day. Now, I was pretty sore for these days, so I used it as an opportunity to learn to pitch while I'm tired, which I don't think was smart. I shouldn't have done that. But right now, the rule of thumb is actually to throw on the third day. So the second day is like you work out, you play catch. That's all you do that day. But that's when you get your workout in. So usually workouts are on bullpen days, but if it's the third day and you only have one extra day off before you pitch, then you don't do that. So I would throw my bullpen the third day towards the end of my career, the second day early, and I'd work out on the second day no matter what. And then third day, throw the bullpen, do lots of arm care. That's usually when you're sitting and you're hanging out in the training room all day and you're getting your arm stretched and you're getting massage. You're trying to work out any residual inflammation you have from bullpens. The day 4, nice and slow. Take it easy. Hang out in the bullpen. Throw really light. Stay off your feet. Don't run some sprints. If anything at all, I usually didn't run. I don't like running at all. Ride the bike. And just kind of try to spa day it. We always called spa day it. And then day 5, or day 1 again, go pitch. Boom. Rotate. Do it again. But out of the bullpen, it was cross your fingers that you didn't pitch. No, it was just be ready to pitch every day. So my routine as a starter, as a bullpen guy, would be the exact same thing with just stuff pulled back or basically how hard I pushed on the gas was different, but it would be the same things. So I'd do my same routine to get ready. I'd go out and play catch. I'd run when I had to run. Then I'd be like, no, I'm not running anymore. I'd play long toss just about every day unless my arm was hanging a little bit or I'd thrown 2 days in a row or whatever. That's when I would take things off. So like catch would either get lighter or heavier. Running would get lighter or heavier. Bullpens would get lighter or heavier. Workouts would get lighter or heavier. I would always work out after I pitched so I could just get it out of the day and then get an extra sleep between whatever. So if I hadn't pitched in a while, pitched once, I wouldn't work out. If I pitched the next time, I would work out, anticipating the next day was probably down. And then basically your whole life is just guessing, am I going to be down tomorrow or not? And you just try to make an educated guess. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. If you got a pitching coach that would be upfront and honest about whether you're up and down, it was very, very easy to do. But I've been on teams where they just refuse to tell you if you were down, except for in Oakland, I would just hit them with one of these. Nah, fam. But I was at that point in my career where I was confident doing that. So yeah. So if you are interested, I know we just saw it in the chat there. Shunny Golf. Boom. Said Bauer's vlogs. Trevor Bauer has some good stuff on his YouTube channel where he talks through a lot of his routine. He's a big routine guy. He's really it is really interesting how he, however you feel about him, as whatever, about all the other stuff. When it comes to pitching and just being kind of curious about all the different things you do as a pitcher, he's got some really, really, really cool perspectives. And I always get really interested. I've taken some stuff from him in my career too. So it's another place another guy who talks a lot about this stuff specifically. That's a great place to do it. All right. Okay. All right, guys, keep the questions coming as we wind down the show here. We have 13 minutes left in the show. This is the time where I wrap up all the questions in a tight little bow. But we already talked about these goofballs. All right. But I would be remiss had I not shared some interesting factoids. That's not right. That's wrong. Okay, going back here. We're going back to fine. You win. It's time for the crazy baseball trivia facts of the week. In honor of Ichiro Suzuki, we got 3 crazy facts presented by our new writer, Henry. Henry, good job. Henry gave us these ones. All right, here you go. Here's 3 insane facts about Ichiro. Ichiro singled in his 10th career AB, bringing his career average in the major leagues over 300. Over the rest of his career, well over 3,000 hits, he never dropped under 300 again. That is mind-boggling. That he got above 300 and then got so far above 300, because I believe he hit 362 in his first career year. In order for him to drop that down to 300, he would have had to hit like 240 in his second year, which I'm pretty sure he hit 320. So, yeah. Yeah, pretty good. Another one. In the 2007 All-Star game, Ichiro hit his first in the side. Ichiro hit the first inside the park home run in All-Star game history. It was his first ever inside the park home run. No way. I remember that. I watched it. I was a junior in high school. I love Ichiro. I grew up a huge Ichiro fan. I was 13 when he joined the team. I was 12 when he joined the team. First ever inside the park home run in an All-Star game. He also had an immense respect for his bats, treating them with intense care. One time, after throwing his bat down in frustration, he reportedly felt so bad about it that he took the bat home, slept with it in his bed. He also wrote an apology letter to the makers of his bat after throwing it once, apologizing for his lapse in judgment. Now, I don't know how much that is a cultural Japanese thing. I feel like respect for your tools is something that is very, very strongly felt in their culture, but also that might just be a crazy, quirky Ichiro thing. And an additional fact that Henry told me, but we didn't put on the page, that Ichiro actually only put his first name on the back of his jersey. Now, you guys, we haven't really talked about this a lot. All the other Japanese players in the league right now all go by their last names. Ichiro Suzuki is his last name. But he went by Ichiro because in Japan, they put Ichiro on the back of his jersey as a publicity stunt. But he didn't like it. He hated it. Then he came over, and they just assumed that's what it was. So they kept doing it. And I would say that publicity stunt continued to work because Ichiro jerseys are selling like hotcakes these days, especially when he was almost unanimously added into the Hall of Fame. Ichiro, never changed, brother. Of course, we had to get a picture of Miami Ichiro because those were his best years. So those are my Ichiro facts, fun facts of the week. Thank you again, Henry. All right, guys, let's wind down. We are entering the final 9 minutes of the show. Any more questions anyone else want to know about? Now is the time to get my take. Hit. He treated his bat like a samurai sword. I think it's a respect thing. I mean, yeah, I can see that. Actually, let's get the chat back up here. What are we doing? What I will do is turn the rundown off. Ooh, we got some good questions. We'll get the questions in the... Actually, no, we're going to do it. Sorry, chat. I can see you. We're just going to do this for the final. At any point last year, did you think about coming back? No, absolutely not. I'm done. I've been done. In my mind, I've been done for years. Ask anyone who's played with me. Quick thoughts on the Flaherty deal. We already talked about this early. But I really like it. I think it's a great pickup. I like that it's a pillow deal. I like that he's going to get an opportunity to go to free agency again if he pitches well. And then he has it's just a solid deal. It's front loaded. It's one of those things where the market wasn't really generous to him. So he's going to get another opportunity to test it again next year if he decides to, which I like. But also the Detroit Tigers get another quality starting pitcher to get them back to the playoffs. What will be the pitch of 2025? The splitter will continue to be the pitch of 2025. It will continue to be the splitter. Thank you so much. Where does Alonso and Bregman go? Big cheese? Big cheese? Big cheese? Big Apple? Excuse me? I think Pete Alonso ends up signing a not very happy deal for him with the Mets, and I think that Bregman goes to the Blue Jays. No, I lied. I don't think Bregman goes to Blue Jays. I don't know why I said that. I think he goes to Detroit. I think Detroit pulls off Flaherty and Bregman right here at the final hour and make their team really good, really, really good. Favorite pitcher to watch now that I am out? I mean, Paul Skeens is pretty fun to watch, but that's an easy answer. Matt Brash, yes, gimme. Though he didn't pitch last year, but he's still one of my favorite pitchers to watch pitch. I love watching Jason Adam pitch. It just feels like he's playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. Ooh, excuse me. I like watching Ben Joyce pitch. He's electric. I think Cade Smith might be my favorite though, because he just reminds me of me, and I miss me. I miss me pitching. So, yeah, that's probably why. Oh, Blake Trinan. Oh, yeah. Ugh. I mean, it's gotten to the point where I loved watching Blake Trinan so much that now I'm just like, I'm annoyed it's so good. He's still so good. Like, I'm annoyed that I'm going to be honest. I played against Blake all the way through the minors, and I was always annoyed with how good he was and how easy it was. He's a North Dakota dude who just throws cheese. He was a starter throwing 100 like it was nothing. Made me sad. So, yeah. Ooh, here's a great one. I love this question. Are the Red Sox bullpen going to suffer from not having a proven closer, given Liam is coming back for injury and Chapman is Chapman? I mean, you said proven. They're both proven closers. Aroldis Chapman is what do you mean? Yeah, he's not as it's like saying you say Craig Kimbrell. He's a proven closer. He's just not as efficient as he used to be. But he's proven. He proved that he can close. But you're right. How's it going to be with not either one of them being like good to go. The thing with the Red Sox, and I mentioned this already in the show, I'm going to mention it again. A lot of guys, high ceilings, need to come off injuries, need things to go their way. But if they are healthy and they do regain any sort of sense of their previous form, their experience will take over, aka Liam. So if Liam and Aroldis are both healthy, they can, like, one of them struggles and doesn't do the job, the other one can take over. That's a luxury, especially with kind of how open that bullpen is. But I think they have good options. I think there's a lot of guys out there that are solid. Papelbon was on Foul Territory the other day with us, and he said the same thing. I love that they have so much starting pitching depth, even though a lot of them are hurt coming back. Lucas Giolito, we don't know what we're going to get, like Walker Buehler. We don't know how many innings he can throw. But if they do make a huge step forward and come back, they're going to go from, I don't know, to, oh, this team's pretty good. And I'm hopeful. I think that, like, of those 4 guys, like 3 of them are going to pan out pretty well. And that's going to make the team better because everyone else was on the team last year and they were better than I thought they would be. So I think they're going to be better this year. I'm more hopeful. I think there's just a lot. There's a ton of people who are, like, coming off injuries, but there's a lot of options. So, like, if some don't work out, there's still more. And there's a lot of depth, a lot of different pieces that could work out, that have worked out in the past. And just look at how the Mets did it last year. Remember, a bunch of reclamation projects, Sean Manaea, Quintana, Sevy, and look how they all took steps forward, and then they went to the NLCS. I could see the Red Sox pulling a Mets. I never thought I would say that. Wow. Gatorade flavor choice. The blue one, blue ice with Mountain Dew, Baja Blast. Here we go. Ooh, who was someone in the minors? Okay. Who was someone in the minors you played with that you were sure was going to make it but never did? Huh. That's a good one. Who was someone I played with in the minors that I was sure was going to make it and never did? That's such a good question. I was, well, it depends on what you mean by make it. I was convinced Zach Collier, a guy named Zach Collier, was gonna, like, be a really good player, and everything did look so good, and he just never could not hit in double. I just couldn't get out. Do you think the Cubs ever have a chance again? Yes. What? Yeah, I do. Of course I do. Yeah, so we'll go with Zach Collier. Where do you think Kershaw's going to end up based on the Dodgers being flush? The Los Angeles Dodgers. He's just going to, like, I think he would rather be on the IL there than go somewhere else. Frankly, I don't know how he would go anywhere else. Maybe Texas. I don't know. Yeah. They're just gonna be like, hey, can you just, like, get healthy, and then, like, so then we can just use you when people inevitably get hurt. Do you think Chris Bryant will finally have a good year? I think that's up to Chris Bryant. He doesn't seem like he's worried about it. So I don't know. All right, guys, final question before we get out of here. We're going to take this one into the outro. How much do you think the ball change for Roki will affect him? It's going to be an adjustment, just like the rotation is going to be an adjustment, just like the amount of pitching is going to be an adjustment, just like the number of innings. But that's a big one, especially when it comes to throwing that splitter. We will see in spring training really quickly how he develops that command. Kodai Senga was a guy who struggled at the very beginning with his command because of the ball and how it felt. So it's going to be interesting to Roki Sasaki, but it's going to be adjustment. So he is going to struggle with command probably right out the gate. Just expect it. Expect that splitter to be in the ground a lot. All right. All right, guys, boys and girls, people of all ages, thank you so much for being here. This has been Mayday. This is episode whatever on February 3rd of 2025. I will see you next Monday right here. Same place, same time, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. As always, go sub to all the YouTube channel stuff. Go sub to all the podcasts. We got new episodes coming out every week of everything. And every like and every comment and everything on the YouTube channel helps. So I appreciate it. All the new subs, all the old subs, all the super chats, all that kind of stuff. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you for asking your questions. Join the Discord so that I can see your questions in the future and we can get them on the show. All right. That's all I got. Drink your water, watch your baseball, and we'll see you at spring training just around the corner. All right. Have a good one. Good.